Hello and welcome guys to this new tutorial. In this tutorial we are going to learn about the props topic of React.js. Actually it is one of the most key topic of React.js. Now let's learn about props. Introduction to props. In React.js, props stand for properties are used to pass data from one component to another. Props are an essential feature in React and are a powerful tool for component reusability and dynamic rendering. They allow a parent component to pass data down to child components, enabling a flow of information and making the application more modular and scalable. Now let's see how the props are working. When a component is rendered, you can specify props to pass data to the child component. Now let's see how it is. Here is a prop parent component and this is a functional component. Here you can see it is returning a child component and here is a variable declared with parent data and this data has hello from parent. Here you can see this is passed as an attribute in this child component, and if we see the code of child component, here you can see this is a code of child component, and in this here you can see it is received in the argument as an argument, and here you can see it has been used. So let's see in the code how it is. Here I'm creating a file with the name of parent component .js6. Now here create a JavaScript function. Now here I'm going to return some value from this. Let's create a div and write here hello world. Now here create another component with the name of child component .js6. Now create here a function with the name of child component here return some value just like into child component. Now let's import the parent component in the app.js6. So how I will do? First I will have to export this file from here. So let's export this file, default and parent component. Now I will have to receive it here. How I will receive? Before I will have to import it. It is already been imported. Here you can see if I'm trying to access it, yes I can. Now here if I show you how I will do, I will have to run the server before. Now here you can see it gives me the port of 5173. Here now I will have to pass it, and here you can see the hello world which is rendering from the parent component. Now let's enter this parent component. Now in this parent component, where is this parent component? I'm going to export this child component before. Child component. Now I'm going to pass some data from this component to the another. How I will do this? Let import before the child component in this div. I import it. Now here I will have to write some data, for example data, and this should be hello from parent div. Now here I'm going to pass it in the shape of attribute. Here you can see data. You can name it anything. For example, I'm going to pass it my data, yeah, parent data. Parent, but you will have to pass here this data because we are sharing this data with the child component. Now we will go to this child component, and here in the argument we will have to receive this data in the shape of props. we are going to write it props, but you can write it anything. Here if I console this, now see what is this actually, props. Now I'm going to show you this on the screen. Here you can see we have received it in the form of object, and if I open this object, here you can see this is parent data, and here you can see hello from parent component. Now how we will render it in the screen? So here you will have to wrap it in the curly braces props and the variable which we have wrapped in the object. For example, we have parent data. Now let's see what is rendering on the screen. So here you can see hello from the parent component is now visible. If I go and pass some other data, now let me show you multiple data. For example, I'm going to create another variable with the name of name. For example, John Doe. Now let's pass this name. Here name, you can do also in this way. So there will be no difficulty for you to understand the props. So here I'm receiving this. Now you will have to props dot name. Now let's see. Here you can see John Doe is also written. Now let me wrap it in some paragraph tag or other tag. Now let's see. Here you can see John Doe is visible on the screen. And now if I refresh it and here I show the object, here you can see the name and parent data both are present in the object. Now let's see the note what are saying further. In this example, parent component passes a props called message to the child component. We have passed name etc. Child component receives props as an object and accesses the messages props to the display it. So we are passing actually name and some dummy data. So there is no difference between them. So advantage is of using props. Data flow management. Props allow one-way data flow, meaning data is passed from parent to child components. This makes it easier to track and manage the state of your application and making it more predictable. In the real life application, we have more states etc. in our app. So we cannot write everything in one single page. So we will have to write it in different pages. So because of this we are using passing the props. I will show you later in this video one example of props which will best define the props concept. Component reusability. By using props you can create reusable component. For example, a button component can accept a label props that changes its text dynamically. I will show you it later how it is. Separation of concern. Props help separate logic from presentation. Parent components manage the logic and pass data to children for rendering, ensuring clear separation. Communication between components. Props enable communication between components in React app, especially when a parent needs to pass dynamic data to the child component as we seen. Here is an example of usage. Here you can see the title is passing to the header component. Here you can see the title and the header is receiving these props, and in the H1 tag you can see props.title. Now we have already seen the multiple props as we passed earlier. Here you can see you can pass title and user both in the same way. Now here is an assignment of props. Create a parent component that passes a greeting prop to child component. The child should display the greeting message. It is for you. Implement a profile component that accepts a user object as a props containing name, age, and location. The component should render a card displaying the user details. If we conclude it, props are a cornerstone of React, enabling data to be passed between components in a clean, predictable manner. By using props effectively, developers can build dynamic, reusable components that help create scalable and maintainable applications. Now let's see one example to understand you best the prop concept. Here I'm going to create a card. .j6 it is already present, I am going to user card dot j6. Now let's see, I am going to create a function with the same name, function user card. Now I'm returning some data into a hello world. Now I'm going to receive it in the app.jsx. Now before it, I will have to export it. Now in this app.jsx, I'm going to comment this everything. Now here I'm going to receive the card, user card. Now let's see the screen. Here you can see hello world is written, which is in the user card. Now I'm going to create multiple data. So how I will do so? So let me go to the app.jsx, and here I'm going to create a data with the name of user. So here let's see, const user name John Doe, age 25, and email john@do.com. Here you can see this data. Now I'm going to pass data as a props to this user card. Here you can see I'm going to pass it in the form of user and user. Now I'm going to receive these props in the user card. Either you can receive it by props, or you have another way. For example, before doing this, let me show the other way how I can do this. Here receive the props. Now let's console this one, CLG, and here pass props. Now let's see on the screen. Here you can see user, and this user contain John Doe. And now if I do in this way to restructure these props, so as we know that we have user in the prop, so we will have to pass here it, and we destructure the prop. Now let's console the user, what we are getting in the user. Now let's see. Here you can see directly we can get the object which we have passed. Now let's come here and make a card div with this. Let me clear it before. I'm going to assure that I have also tolerant CSS in this. Now below of 500, text white, padding of 4, rounded MD, now let's see either it is visible or not. Now let's give it some width of 32. Here you can see I think 52 will more good. Now let's hide it. Here I'm going to give it some margin of 10. Now let's use the everything. In H1 I'm going to use the user.name, and in P I'm going to render the age of user, and in P another P I'm going to render the email of the user. Here if you see, here you can see the detail of user. Now let's make it little bit good. Text of 2XL and font to be semi-bold. And for this, let's make it little bit better. Text to LG. I think it may be good now. And let's, if you want to render it more time, now come here to the app.jsx, and here if I reuse it, here you can see, but the data is still the same data. How I will do so? So here create another user. This time you call its user2, and here you should rename it to some other name. For example, I'm going to name it John Don, and the age of this John Don is 31, and John Don, let's see, and in this I'm going to pass the user2. Now let's see in this. Here you can see now the data is different. Here you can see the John Doe, and here you can see the John Doe, and the age are also different. Now let's make it flicks for better visual. Flicks and justify center. Okay, these both are in separate div, so let's go here and make this div flicks. Gap of 4. Here you can see. Now this was the topic of props. Actually, prop is very easy. Passing data from parent to children is called props. There is nothing difficult in prop concept. If you have any difficulty in this concept, now let comment, and please like the video and make sure that you have subscribed the channel. Keep me in your prayer. Thank you.